Good morning, good morning, good morning. Today we are going to be talking about a brand new time signature, and it's called cut time. In cut time, we are changing the basis for our counting system. When we talk about normal time, our normal time signature of cut time, that's a time signature of 4/4. And when we're counting in common time, we count the quarter note as one beat each. In a measure of 4/4 or common time, we count 1, 2, 3, 4. One beat per each quarter note. However, common time changes that, or cut time changes that. The cut time signature is 2/2, also represented with a C with a slash through it. All right, cut time has the slash through it, and it's 2/2. When we have a 2/2 time signature, we are no longer counting the quarter note as one beat each. We're counting the half note as one beat each. So in a measure of cut time, I would count the first half note 1 and the second half note 2. Because the top number of our time signature is a 2, we can only have 2 beats in a measure. If you're counting a measure in cut time and you find yourself getting to 3, 4, 5, 7, whatever, you've gone a little bit too far. In cut time, there are 2 beats in a measure, and we're counting half notes. Right, we're counting half notes in cut time. And it's a shift. It's a different way to count things. And this time signature does come up. One of the tricks of being able to count in cut time is everything gets cut in half. Just like our common time symbol, the C, to make it into cut time, we put a slash through it. It cuts it in half. Same thing with our note values. Over here, we have a whole note. Normally, in common time, the whole note gets 4. We're going to cut that in half. Normally, we cut it in half. It gets 1.5 beats. In common time, in a half note will get 2 beats. But in cut time, we cut it in half. It only gets 1 beat. We talked about that before when we talked about the half note being the basis for counting in cut time. And finally, over here, the quarter note, normally in common time, it gets 1 beat. However, in cut time, it only gets half of a beat. So those are your basic note values in cut time. If you think about it, common time to cut time, cut everything in half, that gives us how many beats to hold each note out for. All right, I'm going to erase this for a second. Like it says on the top here, when you're looking at your time signature on a staff of music, you could see either one of the symbols. You could see the C with the slash through it, and you know that's cut time, or you could see 2/2. Let me put the C with the slash through it first. Then I'm just going to draw a couple of measures. Half note, half note, half note, quarter note, quarter note, quarter note, quarter note, half note. Okay? If we're going to count this in cut time, we have to remember our note values. The half note only gets 1 beat each. So if I'm writing my counting in, the first half note is 1, the second half note is 2. Whenever I'm writing countings in, when I go to a new measure, I always start with 1. That half note gets 1 beat. It fills up all of beat 1. So the next note, the quarter note, is on beat 2. In cut time, quarter notes only get half a beat. That quarter note is the first half of 2. This quarter note would be the second half of 2. And this third measure here, it's a new measure. I start with 1. That's the first half of beat 1. And here's this quarter note, the second half of beat 1. Would put my half note on beat 2. Remember, in cut time, we don't play past beat 2. We don't go to 3. So if I put the metronome on, I've got the metronome on at 80. This is half note equals 80. Half note equals 80 here, because in cut time we count the half note. If I played this, these 3 measures just on a B flat, a concert B flat, with the metronome, it would sound like this. 1, 2, ready, play. And there it's done. Okay? if I would count it, it would be 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1 and 2. One of the things that your lesson book asks you to do is to be able to rewrite things from cut time to common time. If I was to rewrite this example in common time, all right, well actually we'll say 2/4 here. We were writing it into 2/4 because there are 2 beats in the measure in 2/4. I would want to find the type of note in 2/4 that gets 1 beat each. What type of note gets 1 beat in 2/4? The quarter note does. So I would replace each half note with a quarter note. This half note would be a quarter note here. In 2/4, what type of note gets half a beat each? It is the 8th note. So each one of these quarter notes would be replaced with an 8th note. I would beam them together. Same thing right here. Each one of these quarter notes would be replaced with an 8th note. And then this last half note would be replaced with a quarter note. These 2 lines of music are identical. The top line written in cut time, the bottom line written in 2/4. A lot of times people will ask, well, what's the purpose of writing in cut time? Why can't we just write everything in common time or 2/4? One of the things that cut time does is it cleans up what you're looking at. Okay, and I'll demonstrate that right now. If we had a measure of 2/4, that was 8th note, 8th note, 8th note, 8th note, quarter note. Can't do that, sorry. 8th note, 8th note, 8th note, 8th note, quarter note, 8th note, 8th note. 2 measures in 2/4. All right, we see a lot of 8th notes in a quarter note. If I was to rewrite that in cut time, all right, all these 8th notes would end up becoming quarter notes because the quarter note gets half a beat in cut time. This quarter note gets 1 beat in 2/4. In cut time, the half note gets 1 beat in 2/4. In cut time. These 2 8th notes here, half a beat each in common time, would be 2 quarter notes in cut time. Your brain isn't quite used to counting in cut time because it's just being introduced, so you may think it's more difficult to read and to count, but just visually looking at it, it's easier for your brain to process quarter notes and half notes than quarter notes and 8th notes. So cut time simplifies what you're looking at, all right, when we write in cut time. So that's an important part of why cut time exists. So to review, before you start practicing page 8 in your book, cut time, or 2/2, cuts everything in half. All your note values. Whole notes get 2 beats. Dotted half notes get 1.5 beats. Half notes get 1 beat. And quarter notes get a half of a beat. One more rhythm to show you, all right, a cut time rhythm that has a dotted half note followed by a quarter note. In common time, or 2/4, is going to be the exact same rhythm as a dotted quarter note, 8th note. 1 and 2 and. That last note is placed on the and after 2. That rhythm comes up in your lesson book also. So, if you have any questions, make sure you bring them to the lesson. Hopefully this helped clear up cut time a little bit for you. And thank you very much.